third becomes pricing. Now, pricing being the third, I can assure you that customers will pay a premium for what is working. I'll share one sour experience I had in one of the organizations I work with. 22 people died because of a dispute, one dispute. 22 people. And I'll mention it, Kwale in Delta State. Because of one dispute that happened at an agent location, it led to communal clash. 22 people died. Agency banking was stopped for 3 months in Kwale, Delta State. It is so sad, but at the end of the day, it's not the agent's fault. We failed, the system failed. The payment system in Nigeria failed those people. An issue happened, the person went to him, I did this transaction here, I was debited here, you need to refund me. No, it's not been refunded, come back. The guy came back and they argued, it turned to a fight. You came to my community, you fought my brother, they beat him so much, he went back, he told his brothers, and it turned to a communal clash. 22 people died. It's still a scar in my head. That's how we have failed as a people, or as drivers of fintech payment, or drivers of payments overall. We have failed the people, and that's why MoneyPoint, for example, took that part as a major solution they needed to fix. Today, if you go to Kwale, I'm not sure, maybe you see 2 other providers. 98% are all using MoneyPoint today, because MoneyPoint solves the problem, and that's what you need to give when you're selling a product. Give the best services every time. Put your best foot forward. Let me pause here.
Well, thank you so much. I've not. This is the first time I'm hearing this incident. So hopefully we're able to, as a people or as an ecosystem, ensure that we have better systems in place to mitigate against these types of occurrences. So my next question would be, in your career, you've gone from entry level to middle management, and now you are in the C-suite. Now this is sort of everybody's dream that is working 9-to-5 profession. But then, what has been your most difficult stage? Was it entry level? Was it middle management? Or has it been C-suite? What has been your most challenging?
Okay. In all honesty, it's a very tricky question. It's a very complex question, and it requires for some level of reflection. But top of mind, I'll say the C-suite. Yeah. It looks like the most rewarding, where there's plenty money. I mean, I can see Toby, are they doing C-suits? I can see Ayo, C-suits, plenty money. That's when the money comes in. As against what we have in, I would say, traditional institutions, where once you get to the C-suite level, you're la vida, you're chilling, right? For startups, C-suite, you're responsible for a whole lot. So if you check through my bio, one of the things I always pride myself as is being a marketplace samurai. I've been to all states in Nigeria, not just as a junior level, not at entry level, even as a senior. As a director of digital banking, I was always going to Samaru Market in Kaduna. I was going to Taco Market in Abuja. I was going to Dikwa in Borno State. I was going to these places. One will say, oh, guy, you know, they tire. But I like the fact that I'm able to have a one-on-one with the last mile consumer, the consumer at the bottom of the pyramid. It helps me in discussing with the team, in leading the business. So I won't say I've transitioned, but I've added to my sales knowledge the fact that I understand product and also understand technology. So I don't just see myself as a salesperson. I see myself as a business leader, because I understand products, I understand technology. Though I don't write a line of code, I can just do basic SQL queries, but I mean, I don't write a line of code. It helps me to appreciate the work everybody on the team does, right? It helps me to direct the product team in scoping how our products, how we deliver or deploy our features. It also helps me in managing the pre-sales and post-sales activities, customer service and customer experience. It further helps me in building a seamless customer journey. So I would say the C-suite level, because you're responsible for the revenues. The fact that you have people you can tell, do this, do that, you hire people, you are responsible for it. So I'll say the C-suite level. I know that response probably sounds strange. At the junior level, entry level, you want to scale up, but when you get to that level, you want the money, but you want lesser work.
I would have actually thought that it was the middle management level that was the most challenging, because you have to manage up and manage down as well. You have a lot of stakeholders that you are dealing with, and then like all the reporting, a lot of things are hinged on your ability to perform at that level. So I would have thought it was middle management, but nice. It's nice to see that you have a different perspective on this.
Sorry, for also your for C-suits. So C-suit, you think you've reached the ceiling, right? For C-suits, if you're part of executive management, that means you report to the board. Conversations are very few at the top. Is he getting the numbers? He's not getting the numbers. We have those tough conversations. Doesn't take time. You have your handshake and you're advised to exit. Very easy. So it's tough up there. It's not a resting place. It's, of course, more work. They expect you to bring in the expertise you've gathered across different. It is more work. You sit on, you're given a revenue of $500 million, and you're asking yourself how. Back then, where you're at entry level, you're telling yourself, this one is beyond my pay grade. But you are there, you're at the top. So it's quite heavy. You're managing human resource, you're managing financial resources, and of course, you're answerable to a board of very exceptional people. The conversations are very short. There's just a whole lot you're carrying. You're carrying the entire organization. So yeah, that's it for me.
Wow, now that this reminds me of a conversation I had with a friend of mine I think a few weeks ago. Now, looking at your experience so far, you've worked in 8 different tech companies in the Nigerian tech ecosystem. All of them have been in fintech. Now,
I'm surprised hearing 8. 8, how?
8. Yeah, 8 actually, yeah.
Wow. 8?
Yeah, I can list them.
I must be moving.
So now I had a conversation with one of my friends a few weeks ago, yeah, and this guy said he had worked in the fintech ecosystem for about 6 to 7 years, and now he was moving to another industry. And I asked him, I said, okay, why are you leaving all of your experience, your network that you've gathered in the fintech ecosystem, and you're moving to another industry? So he said, apparently, all the network he has gathered in the fintech ecosystem, he cannot monetize them. Now, being what he basically means is that he cannot sell to these guys because he's competing with all of them. So he has networks, he has guys in top places, head of this, CEO of this, but he cannot do any business with them. But now that he has gone to another industry, now all those guys he has in his network, they become his customers. He can pitch to them, and this gives him a lot of leverage in terms of negotiating his salary, in terms of what he can bring to the table. So what would you advise? Now, based on your experience, would you advise people to maybe at a certain point in your career, you can switch between industries, or it is better to just be in one industry and build your leverage over time?
Okay. I'll just tell you for free what has worked for me. You need to follow your passion. So what gets really tiring certain times? What excites you? And I'll just keep a bit. Growing up, I wanted to be a footballer.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I forgot to mention David is a very, very good footballer. I've seen him play a couple of times.
So I wanted to be a footballer, and at a time, I told myself I wasn't going to go to school. I stayed home after high school. I stayed home for 3 years before I went to university. I didn't write jump. My parents would be like, you need to go to school. I will not write jump. I'll buy a football boot. My parents will. So I had a very good storyline in the football part. But one thing that's always worked for me is that I've always known that I'm made for, I won't just say the spotlight. I speak, I do trainings. Even back in university, I used to handle tutorials back then. So it's something that I've always been passionate about. And during my youth service, I went back to the secondary school I graduated from, Osborne Road in Ikoyi. That's where I did my youth service. So that's what passion can do for you. I like to talk. My early years in Unified Payments, I was the one handling trainings in the department. I handle onboarding of new staff, and I train banks. So that thing has always been there. You can see that it's passion driven. And now going back to the conversation around changing industries or moving industries, I've always been passionate for agriculture, for agriculture, and I eventually studied agricultural economics in the university. I'm actually an investor and a board member in an agri-tech company. Today, that's passion. I won't just tell myself, leave the entirety of the fintech industry and skip to agri-tech. That may not be what it is, but because I'm passionate about it, I decided to invest in it because there are a lot of opportunities. I have a friend, and I can mention his name here, a senior VP of MoneyPoint. He has told me, David, after all of these things, my first love, I need to go back to agriculture. It's passion-based. Now, this is somebody who has reached the peak of the payments industry or the fintech ecosystem or in fintech industry, and he wants to quit all of these good things just to go face agriculture. So you need to look for your passion. What is that thing that would excite you? There are challenges on the job. Sales will always have challenges. 9 to 5 will always have challenges, but you don't run away from these challenges. Sometimes you pick the stones that have been thrown at you, use it to build a very beautiful house. And I'm telling you, because this is not, I'm not motivating you. I'm telling you my story. I'm not a motivational speaker. I worked in an organization and I felt I wasn't being promoted. I was doing a lot in that organization and I wasn't being promoted. What I eventually did was to tell myself, whatever I've lost here, I'm going to get times 10 of it in terms of the value that I'll get. Somebody in the future will pay for it. Not in the bad way, but somebody will pay me my worth for the time that I've lost here. So what I did was to bend down, learn everything. I assessed all the infrastructure they were able to give me, the opportunities, and I learned a whole lot. Today, I pride myself in telling everybody and anybody who cares to listen, 90% of what I know in payments today, I learned it in one organization. 90% of what I know in payments today, I learned it in Unified Payments. I can tell you this because there are a lot of opportunities available there, and it may not be a Unified Payment. It can be somewhere else you work, but make sure you learn all you can. No knowledge is a waste. People pay me today to talk about things I learned 6-7 years ago. I can tell you this is my story. So changing in industries, I'll go back to that. Changing industries actually is not the formula. What works for you? And it's not a problem that you started in the wrong industry. When you identify what you see as that industry you're passionate about, you can make the switch. But the formula of switching industries because others are switching, this is where it is. No, it doesn't work. Passion, passion, passion. Because whatever industry you're in, if you want to get to the top, you'll be stretched. Are you ready to be stretched? If you want your comfort zone to go to a place where you do small work, plenty money, that can be your thing. That formula is not sustainable. You need to do the hard work, build your muscles like you're in the gym. When the real weight, the real battles come, you're there. Take that from me. 90% of all the English language and all the things I say about in payments, I learned it in one company. Every other thing I've been doing, I've just been adapting the building blocks of what I learned earlier on in different use cases. I mean, I'd like to leave this here.
Thank you so much. So basically, focus on what you're passionate about. Don't try to game the system, sort of, where you now you're moving from one industry to another to build leverage on your experience rather. So very good. I'm trying to pull up your LinkedIn page now because you couldn't believe that you've been in 8 companies
in fintech.
In fintech, yeah, in the past 10 years. So now you on your LinkedIn, yeah, you started in the fintech space in 2014. in unified payments. And between 2014 and 2019, you were with one company. That's 5 years. And in the next 5 years, you switched jobs 7 times. So you moved from unified payments to Capricorn, to Cellulant, to Accelerex, to Fairmoney, to Aku, to PayGo, and now you're in Blinqpay.
Okay,
Right?
so PayGo, I didn't switch it up to PayGo. I'm a director of PayGo. I own part of PayGo, so I didn't switch jobs.
Oh, okay.
I own PayGo.
Yeah, but it's still okay. Let's take that out. That's 7 jobs. That's seven roles. Now,
7. I think it's still 6. It's not 7.
okay, let's say it's 6. Now there is this conversation in the ecosystem about switching jobs frequently as a path to rapid growth in the ecosystem, or in any career. You can, like, you move from one place to another, and you keep going. And based on your resume here, I think that is a very, very valid take on this matter. So would you rather advise people stay in a place for a while, or would you rather they switch jobs frequently to get to the C-suite in
Okay.
the shortest time possible?
So, and I'll be very honest here. Switching jobs does not guarantee that you grow. Has it been rewarding? In all honesty, it has been rewarding. I won't deceive you. I mean, this is a session where I'll be very plain with you. If I had the opportunity to do what I did previously, would I make the same moves? My answer will be no. So unified payment, I did 5.5 years, almost 6 years. And like I said, 90% of what I know today, I learned it at unified payment. So maybe would I have done 5.5 years in unified payments? Maybe no. Would I have done the number of organizations that I'd worked in? I would say no, not maybe no. Now, some of these organizations, and that's why I struggled to, I had 8, and I was checking, I was calculating. Some of these organizations were actually organizations where I offered advisory to, and they're like, I didn't go there because I wanted to work for them. And then they were like, please, no, you can't go. The board members are like, no, we can't have you out there. Come and do this for us. That's how it is. So it's not like I just move. But of course, I made moves. Do I advise that people move? I think you should weigh yourself. What do you want as a person? It is always not about the financial gratification. It's about the value that you add. So I have a principle. I can't be a pensioner at a very young age. There are people who are just sitting down. It is not working. It doesn't suit your ideals. And you just want to sit there and be collecting salary. Maybe they are paying me salary. They're not paying me. Let's be doing it. When they are tired, we'll know. You're actually hurting yourself because you have a lot of prospects. You have massive prospects inside of you. You can make a whole lot if actually you know the value that you carry inside of you. I give you a typical example. Beyond what I do in Nigeria, I do a lot of consulting for foreign research companies where I'm being paid in USD. And all of these things I'm saying are based on the things that I know, not based on how long I've stayed on the job, not based on the number of places I've moved to, but the value you have inside of you. So the biggest formula is to sit down where you can learn. If the only thing an employer can give you is a salary they pay you on the 25th, 26th, 27th, you can never grow. You'll be a pensioner at a very young age. And with the economic realities, revenue lines of businesses are going thin. Businesses are shrinking operations. If you are not that key asset to the business, the wind can take you away. Just because you're sitting down and you're just earning salaries, you are not building value for yourself. The formula remains: go where value is, not necessarily where you're appreciated. So some can tell you go where you're appreciated. Go where there's value, go where you will learn, and of course you also earn. So that would be my formula. I won't be the guy to tell you to sit where you are. I also won't be the guy to tell you to jump around. So I'm just in between that conversation. But sit down. I did 5.5 years unified payments to learn. 90% of what is paying my bills today. I think that's enough expo to what works.
Yeah.
Nice.
So you're sounding like all those people that will tell you that money does not buy happiness. Meanwhile, they're driving G-Wagon.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't drive a G-Wagon.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. So my final question will be, what advice would you like to give to the next generation of tech talents? A lot of us in this community are moving up the ladder in our careers. Some of us are in middle management now. Some of us are in entry level, and then some people are trying to pivot from maybe FMCG into tech. So what will be your advice for the next generation of tech talents?
Okay.
Tech sales talents.
Learn. Be involved in the product. Understand who your customers are. Just understand the basic things. Like it's a lot easier when you're selling a solution as against a commodity. So see whatever you're selling as a solution as against being a commodity.
Where did you see it now?
Be an
Where did you get the
internal.
info?
Sorry. Hi, please mute your mic.
Okay, so be an internal customer to the product you want to sell. Consume that product, right? You're selling dog food, right? Eat that food first. Understand what it feels like. Stop thinking like the experts that you think you are. There are many experts in the market. I like to tell people this, that consumers are looking for a partner, or businesses, small businesses or businesses in general are looking for a partner against a vendor. There are many vendors everywhere, but there are few partners. So when you think like the consumer, you can better resonate in terms of the offerings that you give them. A lot of us, what we are being tasked to sell in the organizations we work for, we can't even consume. We can't consume them as users. If you can't consume your product comfortably, not because you're obliged to, but because you're a consumer, then of course you have a wrong product. Now, there are cases where you're giving a product that is not working and you're just being compared to sell. Think about what you're doing. Think about yourself. I know a lot of us are doing jobs today just to earn. Think about selling a solution as against just selling a commodity. Understand your product, understand your route to market. How do you create that top of mind awareness in terms of the cost? Why should I have Money Points? I have OPay, I have Zenith Bank, and I'll be choosing Money Points. The school of thought will be you choose the guy who has been in the industry for a longer period of time, who is more stable. But consumers have gotten to the level where they want to choose what is working. Sell a solution to a problem, what is working, and then pricing will never be your problem. I've had conversations with people where sales reps or salespersons tell you our product is too expensive. The homework has not been done. You need to understand the market, what solution, what are people willing to pay for this kind of solution. A number of people use iPhone today. The cost of making an iPhone is not so much different from the cost of getting a Samsung, but because they created a premium product, they've attached a premium feel to an iPhone. They can price it and we'll buy it. The actual cost, by the time you see what Apple makes in terms of return on investment or profit margin, it wows you. Revolut just brought out their results, $545 million in revenues. These are numbers that you won't sleep well at night. MoneyPoint told us at a time when they were processing $13 billion monthly. It is possible in this market. Solve a problem, identify your customers, attain product market fit, and scale that solution. You're always going to be in the market. So for me, for salespersons, understand your customers, learn what they want, sell a solution as against selling a commodity. That would be my response to that.
Thank you so much, David. You mentioned something about don't sell. Sorry, you mentioned something about selling a bad product. Now, I've been in a situation here where the organization just launched this product. We're still in the product development stage. Meanwhile, the management was pushing us to go and sell this product in the market, even though everyone knew that the product was not as good as competitors. Now, have you been in such situation before? And how were you able to how did you go about it?
Okay, go ahead. I think this organization you're talking about, they are telling you to sell a product that is not working, right?
Yes.
I've sold products that never existed. I've sold products that never existed. So it's about understanding what the customer wants, understanding that the customer is an integral part of your product build process. Starting the product, you're engaging the customer, you are getting his requirements because you understand how transactions process. You understand the touch point. That's the part where you need to be very intelligent as a salesperson. Understanding the different touch points, and the customer is telling you, you're helping him complete the schematics of the diagram, and it's making sense to him. It's looking like you have it. I'm not the guy that subscribes to you lying to a customer. So it's not about ethics of lying to a customer. By the time you explain it to the customer wants to receive money. The customer's major problem is that his settlement position is in Canada or in the US, for example. He just wants to move money there. That's his problem. You are in a position to tell him, okay, I can deploy my payment channel and omni-channel where you can receive payments with pay with transfer, pay with link, pay with account number, pay with POS, or you have your web checkout. I'll receive the money in Naira. I'll create a platform that has dynamic currency conversion where you can convert the Naira into USD and you receive the settlement in 2 days. The customer will like, wow, my major problem is that I want my money in my US bank account. And now you've solved it. All I need to come back is to put it down on paper, take it to my product team. This is what the customer wants. Push for timelines on how you're going to get it. So I can tell you for free, I have sold products that were never even existing. We got the requirement and we built the product in 2 weeks. I did a customized collections for FAN, the FAN that we know about today. FAN, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. I did collections for FAN, USD collections for FAN. It will shock you to know, or it will interest you to know that collections at private jetties or private hangars of FAN are in USD. So you have payments like payment service charge, landing, parking, and they are being paid in USD. What I did at the time was to build a solution, same POS terminal, international acceptance. We pre-funded cards in USD. If you want to pay with your USD card, we'll give you your POS. While we'll settle to FAN at a very wonderful percentage or take rate. If you have cash, we'll take your cash and we'll pay with our card. We handled cash management for them. We're charging about 3.5% on that transaction. About 3.5% of that transaction. It was very lucrative for my team at the time. It's about understanding your customers. What is the problem? How can I use my solution to solve that problem? You will always be in business. So yes, your case is a better one.
Apparently. Hopefully, I don't pray to get to that point where I have to sell a product that does not exist. All right, then we'll be opening the floor for questions from the audience. Do we have any questions? You can just signify by a raise of hands. And all right, Dylan, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Koye. Good evening, David. So, my question is quite simple, and actually, it's good to again learn from you. Dave, I was actually a mentee, so you are practically the one that taught me almost everything I know in this industry, and still teaching me actually. So I just wanted to ask, as an expert in the industry today, what do you think is what does the future of POS, what does it look like to you? Like 5 years, do you think we will still have um, POS like the hardware in the market?
Okay, very interesting question. I mean, this part has always been coming up. Different school of thoughts, different postulations from payment experts predicting that Nigeria will go NFC by the speed of light. POS will still be relevant in the next 5 years in Nigeria. And the reason why I feel so is that an average POS terminal has a shelf life of 36 months, an average shelf life of 36 months. So POS is still going to be very, very relevant. A number of the POS terminals that were deployed over time are becoming obsolete. They are phasing out, so the replacements will still come into play. Apart from that, we'll also look at the financial inclusion numbers for Nigeria. We're still struggling around 56%. I mean, numbers are showing 62, 63. I mean, we're still struggling around 56%. So you still have about 44% or 40, about 46% of Nigerian adults still excluded. For the ones that are included, so when we say exclusion, we're talking about people with people that are underserved and unserved. So a number of us here who live in Lekki or Victoria Island, because we live around banks, we think we are fully included. We're actually not fully included. There's nobody in Nigeria that's fully included, including the central bank governor, right? Inclusion here means that you have accessible and affordable financial services at any point in time you want to access it. So even if you live on Ajose Adeogun, where you have the headquarters of a number of banks, it's not every time you go to the ATM that you find money. Even when you have the ATM, you insert your card, our payment infrastructures are not robust enough to guarantee you success every time you initiate a transaction. You can find things like issue or switching operative, not because you don't have money, but most likely because the core bank of your bank, the core bank application of your bank is actually down at that point in time. So it's so important for us to note this. POS is still going to be relevant. Agency banking has come in. What I see is that, of course, it's going to spread a lot more. 774 local governments in Nigeria. You don't have POS presence everywhere. Just First Money has presence in 772. So even a Money Point with their great numbers, insecurity has made it very, very hard for POS terminals or payment to be accessible to everywhere. So based on my own understanding and analysis, I still think in the next 5 years, POS is still going to be relevant. Banks are issuing cards. Banks are driving digital payments, alternate payments. So as long as the cards are in the market, the POS are still going to be relevant. So Ayo, I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Ayo. We have another question from Ogolua. She says, how about cases where the customers don't exactly want the product that you are selling? Maybe they are requesting features that will better solve their problems, but your product development team does not want to indulge them, believing there are customers that will be interested in just the basic solution you have. How do you deal with that? Now, this is a very interesting question that I'm also particular about.
Okay, so this is just to answer to this. This is just a scenario I painted with Tukoye, where our mothers would press our mouth to take medication, right? And that's what our banks have been doing over time. Banks have practically been pressing the neck of the people, forcing you to take, this is banking. We know banking. We're the experts in banking, and this is how banking should be. That was the pitch at the time. And a number of people just wanted banking, and they believed that the banks were the best ones offering banking services. Then a Money Point came up, an OPay came up, a Fairmoney came up, and now they are teaching banks how to do banking. When I say they are teaching banks how to do banking, banks are scared. So banks are seeing the numbers of Money Points. Banks are seeing the numbers of Fairmoney. Fairmoney today gives out a minimum of ₦1 billion in loans every day. No bank does that.
Oh, wow.
No bank does that. Fairmoney has 6 million customers. That's more than most of the banks that we have. So it's not just about the bank accounts you have in your books. Are they active? Fairmoney boasts that they give out a loan every 8 seconds. There are stats showing all of these things. While credit is supposed to be a product of the banks. It's a banking solution, right? It's a banking product. But the fintechs understand the customer behavior a lot more. The fintechs understand that you can underwrite. You can use technology and you handle your underwriting process As against David applying for a loan and he's filling manual form, stationaries, you are printing 6 documents, you are bringing the date of birth of your mother or your grandfather. The fintechs understand that you need to simplify it with just a simple form. How have we been handling the onboarding in terms of our traditional banks? A lot has changed within the last 2 years. So banks are now trying to be like fintechs. Back in the day, fintechs were trying to be like banks. But now banks are trying to be like fintechs. Now, let me also give you one interesting thing that is happening in the market today. Because a number of banks believe that fintechs are not regulated, banks have floated their own fintechs. So you have a UBA that has floated RedTech. You have a Sterling that has have Go Money one, and then maybe the alt bank. You have, of course, Wema reversed the case where you had Alert as a product becoming bigger than the bank brand, and then Alert is driving Wema. Zenith has the Zenpay, Stanbic has the Zest. So everybody is looking at the direction of setting up a fintech subsidiary. Hydrogen from Access Bank, Squad from GT Bank. This is the reality of the marketplace. So banks are trying to be like fintechs while maintaining their traditional revenue lines as a business. So I mean that will be it. Now, selling a product that your team is saying, the product team is telling you sell it. It's just the same scenario. You're going to hit the brick wall. You're going to be frustrated on that job because you can't sell that. You can't keep lying to people. You can't keep trying to sway people. As a consumer, if you lie to me and eventually consume your product and you don't keep up to the brand promise, I'll cut off and I'll never do anything with you guys again. And I'll do so well in demarketing you. So while you're trying to sell, always uphold your brand promise. Be sure your brand promise actually exists. That's one of the key things I would like to tell you. It's a difficult one, but this is primarily an internal thing. You need to drive a culture where the product build process starts from the market. You do your market research before you build a product. That's how it should be. I hope I've been able to answer that question.
Yeah, Ogulu, I hope that suffices.
Yeah, in a way. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, yeah, in a way it does. But trying to ask now, and maybe they say, oh, okay, a market research was done before the product was built and all. So what happens in a case like that? They claim that a market research was done before the product was built, and now product is built, there's sort of no market for it.
Okay. One of the things you also need to note about consumption or the consumer is that consumer appetite can change, right? And you don't build rigid products. So I can tell you, when I have conversation with my engineering team, I always like to ask questions of what advises your coding principle. Do you take security first and build a complex solution, or you build your code base in such a way that another person can jump on it and you build your items in microservices, meaning that they can run on their own? If anything changes, I can use 2 days to change. For some products, they build it in a hard-coded way. If I need to change a bit, I need to start from the scratch. So that's another methodology that your team can use in building their products, right? Consumption pattern changes. The users you can never satisfy the customer, but always be there, hold a solution that really works, that solves a problem. Don't just build because everybody is building. The solution to solving malaria, for somebody who has malaria, right? It can be the combination of artemethyl lumefantrine, but it can come in different forms: syrup, capsule, however, different forms, right? But the solution is the solution. The solution to a problem, there can be innovation. That's why you have different versions. But it is not about building a solution that you did a research, in 6 months, it becomes totally obsolete. There are still some people consuming that. If you go to my village is somewhere, my village is a real village. You find the old Coca-Cola, it tastes different. The old Coca-Cola and the ones in the can, they taste different, right? In my village, you can still find Mirinda, you can still find Tandy Goranda, you can still find Limca. That's my village. I know some of you are Lagos big boys and big girls. I have a village, right? So if I want to take Limca for any reason, I know it's in my village. Okay, somebody may say Tandy Goranda. Okay, That's the reality. So their consumption doesn't just change just like that. You also need to have an eye in terms of what is happening in the market. People will tell you, if it's not Panadol, it is not Panadol. Or if it's not paracetamol, it's not paracetamol. Emzor still sells paracetamol, right? Different providers have provided pain relievers. But if it is not what it is, I mean, it's not just going to change. We'll look at things like, I don't want to take so much time on this conversation. When we're in school, we're being told, or we're taught, that product life cycle is in 4 stages: the introduction, the growth, the maturity, and the decline, right? But additional research in terms of product tells you that every product must experience 5, where there's introduction. So at that before you do, that's a development stage. Before you introduce your product into the market, there's the research, there's the ideation, there's the prototyping, there's the design, there's the pricing. Then you now introduce the product into the market. When the product grows to a level where it's at maturity, instead of allowing it to decline, there's product reintroduction or renovation. That's why you have cases where you have Coca-Cola. We've always known the regular Coca-Cola, which is the cola, but because there are a number of people who stopped taking Coca-Cola because it was the sugar content was so high, you now have Diet Coke, you now have Coke Light, you now have different variants of Coke, right? You also now have a product that has a combination of Coke and Jack Daniels, because they notice a number of people mix that. So it's about understanding the consumption pattern of the people. They can do it that way, sell it to a few people, they like it, then they start doing it at scale. You have people who take Baileys. They had the big bottle of Baileys, but they also found out that Baileys was now expensive for a number of people. They brought the smaller bottle. They brought a very small one, and now you have the sachet one. If you understand the market and the direction of the consumption or the consumers, you will always be in market. Okay? All right. Koe? Oh, no, Ogo. It wasn't Tinubu that did that. Your mic is...
Sorry, my mic was muted. So I hope that clarifies, Oguluwa.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I don't know how to pronounce this name. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. O10 is asking, I did some research and learned that to be successful in sales, you need to set up an automated lead generation and client conversion system. What are your thoughts on this? And do you think it's something that would actually produce?
Okay. So what you've talked about has to do with process. If you go to markets by setting up what you just highlighted, you will fail, right? The first thing when you need to look for a product, when you want to understand the product, when you want to build a product, you can have a wonderful idea. For you to monetize that product or that idea you have, you need to go to the market. Not about building up your pipeline. So having a sales funnel, having a sales pipeline, lead generation, that's a secondary part of it, right? That's the secondary part of it. You need to first solve for the product. What product am I going to sell? Who are the potential consumers? Do your market research. You also, part of the research you're doing also has to do with understanding the people who consume the products. I'll give you a typical example. If you're trying to build a product for ladies, for women, you need to understand, so what colors do women like? Women like pink. I'm a guy, but I like pink though. If you're building a product for men, men like blue by default, then you're looking at green. Alternative, you have people who use purple in time for women, right? You need to even prototype, design your product so that it looks appealing. There are people who will download your app not because of the efficiency, but because it looks intuitive, right? If you are starting your sales and how you want to do what you're doing, if you just look at it from the sales part, have a sales pipeline such that you can do lead generation, all of those makes a lot of sense. But do you understand that product? Do you even have a product, or you have a commodity? A salesperson should sell a product which is a solution, as against just any commodity. People don't just want commodities. People pay for commodities with what is left over. They use their real money, their real spend to acquire what solves the problem for them. Your problem can be thirst. You are thirsty. You just want to drink anything. That works. Do you want to drink water? That works. There are people who just want Pepsi. If it's not Pepsi, it's not Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is cola, but it's not Pepsi. People have built what is known as brand equity, right? The lead generation part is not the first thing you start with. The product, the consumers, knowing who they are, where they are, how much they are willing to pay for a particular product. When you've passed that stage, you now have the product, then you go ahead and you have your sales process. You have your funnel where you have lead generation and you track all of the prospects into completion. So yeah, that will be my response to this.
Thank you so much. I hope that clarifies, Uten.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. So I believe, does anybody have any other questions? We have time to take just one more question. Okay. In the absence of none, thank you so much, David, for this insightful session. Thank you for making time out to join us today. Given your very busy schedule and the fact that you are a little bit under the weather, thank you so much. And thank you so much to everyone who joined us today. Omolola, do you have any question? Okay, I believe you were trying to clap. Benga, do you have a question?
Sorry, it's not really a question, but I want to just ask if you want to get in touch with David, does it allow that? Maybe email contact or something? I wouldn't know. Are we open to that? Or are we opportune to get in touch with him?
You want my manager will answer. Yes. Yes, you can get in touch with me. I mean,
so you can get in touch with David via LinkedIn. Yeah. He is very active on LinkedIn. I will drop his LinkedIn profile in the chats box now. Yeah. So please, you can reach out to him on LinkedIn. His name is David Nwosu. You can search for him as well. And you can connect with him and he would respond if you have any other questions. So thank you once again, everyone. If you're, for some of you who are not members of the tech sales and partnerships community, what we do here is to foster the growth and development of tech talents in the African tech ecosystem, particularly in sales, partnerships, account management, relationship management, and other verticals like customer service and whatnot. So you can connect with us either by joining our Slack community or by following us on any of our social media pages on Instagram, on X, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So this session was also recorded and it will be uploaded on our YouTube page in not more than 3 weeks' time after we're done with all the editing. So thank you very much once again. Our next session will be happening next month. We have something very interesting lined up for all of us, for members of the community. So please keep your ears on the ground. So thank you once again, David. Thank you, everyone. Have an amazing week, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Bye.